Pradeep Bhandari, before we get on to the whole Adani versus Soros, the curious case of 50,000 rupees found in Parliament, a little bit in a hurry to possibly name the Rajya Sabha MP next to whose seat it was found. Maybe an investigation would have warranted better.
Well, Preeti, first of all, it's the Jagdeep Dhankhar, the chair, who's informed the House and the nation about it. And it's the prerogative of the chair who's already ordered an inquiry. Now, why do we question the Congress party? Because I want to remind you of a very important news article on the 1st of November 2024, where one of the members of Parliament, who was independent member of Parliament, who was offered 25 crore to vote for the UPA in 2008, and his name is MP Sebastian Paul, and he revealed it to the nation just a month back. So when the characteristic of the Congress party is about bribe of money trail, then I do believe that an inquiry should be ordered, and we are only saying an inquiry should be ordered. Now just let me take the argument of Mr. Kharge forward. Mr. Kharge said in the House, and I quote Mr. Kharge, कि बिना जांच किए जब inquiry चल रही है तो नाम लेने की क्या जरूरत है? If I extend Mr. Kharge's argument, then with that argument, even on the Adani case, there is an inquiry which is going on, then there should not be any discussion on it. We are open to discussion on anything, but they are self-contradicting themselves. So for a party which has a history of crony capitalism,
Bhandari,
I do believe that
on a lighter note, sir, as I bring in Adil Singh Bopuroy, how much, raise that again?
25
crores. You know how much was found in Parliament?
It's not
it has to be appalling
no,
if
no,
the
Preeti,
Congress is looking at buying MPs for 50,000 rupees.
Preeti, it's about that bundle of note leading to bori of cash.
But the bori wasn't found.
But when you investigate the bundle, you will find the bori.
Fine.
It's about the trail. Right. You cannot trust the Congress.
So you're saying, like
Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra have a history. All of them, the party is out on bail. It's not about the 50,000. First of all, it is a suspicion.
That 50,000 was Biana.
मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि ये 50,000 की जांच होनी चाहिए कि ऐसा तो नहीं बड़े करोड़ों पैसे के तरफ ये लेके जाए जो कांग्रेस पार्टी ने बोरियों में छुपाया है.
All right, but you are saying, okay, you order an investigation. The Congress is turning around. Leave alone, the US has indicted Mr. Adani, leave alone an investigation in that. You don't even want a discussion. I'll come back to you. Allow me.
Can I answer that?
You will. Allow me to bring in Adil Singh Bopuroy into this conversation. Adil Singh Bopuroy, why so touchy? Why is the skin so thin? If the cash, which is 50,000 rupees, has been found next to the chair of Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, there are CCTV cameras. It's the Parliament. For God's sake, it's very easy to find out how it's come in. And if it's not easy to find out, then there's a serious sense of concern on the security of the Parliament. Let this investigation take place. It shouldn't take a matter of hours.
Well, Preeti, firstly, the allegations of the BJP are utterly ludicrous. There's no other word but to describe them as being ludicrous and laughable. Secondly, as far as the investigation and the inquiry is concerned, please carry out an investigation. Who's stopping you from carrying out an investigation? The question here is larger. This is a manufactured distraction. And just to point out to my friend Pradeep, he's comparing apples with oranges. In Mr. Adani's case, post an investigation, the matter was placed before the US District Eastern Court in New York, which has issued an indictment. In other words, it is a judicial indictment. You can't compare a judicial indictment from a court of law with an allegation which is even prior to an investigation. So let's compare stages to where they belong. Number two. Number three, now this is the larger issue. You pick up any despot's playbook in history.
Okay.
The moment there is a domestic crisis, they raise the bogey of a foreign hand.
Okay.
Exactly what the BJP is doing.
Today, but Adil Singh Bopuroy, it's a little rich coming in from the Congress. The 70s, I think you and I both remember. The origins of the foreign hand came in from the Congress, but that's fine. You'd say that's all gone, and done with. We'll come back to that. Allow me to bring in our two other guests into this panel as well, Ashutosh and Rajat Sethi. Rajat Sethi, much ado about very little money. If it took 50,000 to buy out MPs in Parliament, it would be a pity.
I think it's about parliamentary probity, and we have debated it for the past, I think, 10 minutes, and I think that's the time it deserves.
Yes.
And it is back into the investigative agencies under the chairman of the Rajya Sabha who is going to look into this matter. And I think till more evidences or more facts of the matter are not unearthed, it's just as pointless to debate also on this
Fair
topic.
point. That's why. Because the BJP has been raising it all through the course of the day. And Ashutosh, I also want to bring you in one very quick comment, and then we'll quickly go on to something more, which at least the Bharatiya Janata Party feels is sinister for this country, and which is the hand of George Soros, where it comes down to backing Rahul Gandhi. But Ashutosh, we might all laugh on it, but it is hilarious, because that is what governed most of airtime today through the course of the day, was that curious case of 50,000 rupees that was found. Now, I just want to tell our viewers, when it comes down to Parliament protocol, it's not violating Parliament protocol that this bunch of cash was found. But you find it absurd, Ashutosh?
No, not absurd. What worries me is that how easily and how slowly the Parliament is turning into an irrelevance.
Fair point.
There are much serious issues in the country which needs to be debated. And I'll just cite 3 examples. One is that this country needs to deserve that the second most prosperous, richest man in India, there is a arrest warrant against him by an American court. Okay. And there is another notice by another court against the national security advisor of the country by the American court. Does it not deserve a case to be discussed in the Parliament? Forget about investigation. Just discuss.
Fair point.
Second point is,
make your point.
You take the example of Sambal. The four citizens of the country are killed and dozens of policemen are injured. Doesn't it deserve to be discussed in the Parliament? Thirdly, India's economy had tanked to 5.4% when everybody was anticipating something by 6.8, 6.7. These are the 3 issues.
Fair point. So, let's move on to that. And I'll bring in Pradeep Bhandari again. I just want to tell our viewers that nobody's taken ownership of that 50,000 rupee cash. Maybe a tad bit embarrassed, but there's going to be a CCTV image of that coming out soon. But Pradeep Bhandari, now to come down to something more, serious in terms of conversation. Grave charges that your party levels, to call the leader of opposition as a traitor, as an insult to the country, are very, very strong words, Pradeep Bhandari, to use. And to take from what, Mr. Boparoy said, at a time where you might be facing a fair amount of criticism, to attribute everything that the opposition does to a foreign hand should remind you of what Miss Indira Gandhi did in her time.
Well, first of all, the spokesperson from Congress, Adil, spoke about, domestic crisis. There is only one place where there is domestic crisis. That is where in the Congress party. We've seen it from Maharashtra to Haryana, and Adil should introspect. On the DOJ part, I'm not the spokesperson of the group, but the India Today carried out an article which said that the name of the industrialist is not there in the indictment. So there are 2 versions of it, and Adil believes the US court more than the Indian court. Now, why do I not trust whatever the Congress party says? Because if you remember and recall, in 2023 January, the same allegations were raised on the Hindenburg report, and an investigation was ordered by SEBI for a year, and the Supreme Court even dismissed the review petition and found that the entire allegations of the Congress party were baseless. Now, please look at the pattern. As I said, in 2021, the OCCRP, which is funded by George Soros, speaks against Covaxin. The Congress party does a presser against Covaxin. In 2023, August 31st, 2023, Congress party brings up the Adani issue. It's the OCCRP brings up the Adani issue. In July 2021, it is the OCCRP in August speaking about Pegasus. Congress party speaks about Pegasus in the same month, again, which was dismissed by the Supreme Court in 2022. So my charge here is that the Congress party here, Rahul Gandhi, is acting as a front of George Soros. It's a very famous saying, once it can be happenstance, second can be a coincidence, but third is enemy action. And there is a very beautiful report of the Global Watch in which Mr. Soros has been believed to be working with the Chinese since the 1980s. And it is a matter of investigation for us why the vice president of George Soros Foundation goes to a Bharat Jodo Yatra, and why there is a similarity of the pattern of both Mr. Soros and Rahul Gandhi. And we see the public statement of Mr. Soros saying that he wants to remove Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Let Adil respond to that. But Mr. Bhandari, you quote the OCCRP, and very rightly quoted, but you do also remember that the OCCRP also filed multiple reports on Rafale, which was quoted by the likes of a lot likes of you within your own party.
Which was at the end of the day.
So, you can take one part of that report, which is this, and use that as proof, but you quote the same agency with a report on Rafale.
I'll tell you a 20-second rebuttal. The issue is that in all of these cases...
So they were right in Rafale?
The pattern has been that Supreme Court of India has dismissed whatever the Congress party has said. In our case,
Fair
even
point.
in Rafale point, whatever the Congress party raised on Rafale, it was dismissed by the Supreme
I'm
Court.
not talking
So it's
about
not
that.
about the
I'm talking
OCCRP,
about,
it's about the
no, because
pattern.
you quoted OCCRP.
Along with Supreme
So,
Court of India ultimately
I'm
dismissing
just talking about OCCRP because
yes.
when it did, hear me out.
Please go ahead.
Because when the OCCRP did various pieces on Rafale, it was quoted by many people from the Bharatiya Janata Party as evidence against the Congress when Rahul Gandhi had taken on the whole Rafale refrain.
Yes.
Having said that, today you're blaming OCCRP. You know, it can't be, you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
I'll tell you the difference here. The difference here has been that OCCRP and the Congress party stand, whether it is on Covaxin, whether it is on Pegasus and
So they
Adani.
deferred.
The
They deferred
Supreme
in
Court
Rafale.
of India has completely rejected
I agree
the
with
Congress
that.
party. So
I
I'm going
agree
by the
with
court
that.
of the law.
All right, but they deferred in Rafale, which you agreed with.
And my issue is that George Soros does not speak the party line. The George Soros speaks Rahul Gandhi's line. Why is that both of them similar?
All right, Adil Singh Boparai, would you want to come and respond? Because these are grave charges, but the Bharatiya Janata Party feels that stems from a more sinister plan that Rahul Gandhi has in works with George Soros.
Well, I think my friend's party is just completely lost its sanity, and in their desperation and their hatred for the Congress party, they're coming up with utterly reprehensible sort of arguments. The Congress party's leadership belongs to a family which has laid down their lives for the unity and integrity of this country. Whether it was Srimati Indira Gandhi ji, whether it was Shri Rajiv Gandhi ji. To accuse the Congress party's leadership of such a charge is, I think, doing a disservice to this country, point number one. Point number two, on the larger Adani issue, let me just remind my friend what the US court documents indicates. The US investigating agency searched Mr. Sagar Adani. From Mr. Sagar Adani, they recovered certain electronic gadgets like his laptops and telephones. From that, they found out how there was a pattern of bribe money being paid to government functionaries in India. So the crime that happened, I did not interrupt you, Pradeep. Yeah. Don't jump the gun. So therefore, the crime happened in India. Now, why is the BJP doubling up and demeaning itself by acting as a spokesperson for the Adani? Adani is a private individual. If you have nothing to hide, if you are not colluding with him, then have a JPC. You still have the numbers. Let the truth emerge. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. If you are not involved in this, why are you fearing an investigation? And let me say this finally to you, Preeti. I think it is the BJP which is damaging India's credibility and India's markets globally because they're taking away the transparent character of our country. Why are they shielding Mr. Adani? And just today, the Indian Express has carried a story that the central government has waived interstate transmission charges for Adani electricity companies, which is going to give them a bumper bonanza of 1,300 crore rupees. If this story is false, let Mr. Adani and the government of India sue Indian Express. If not,
let me bring in Rajat Sethi. Rajat Sethi, as a political analyst, would you not deem fit that at least the Adani issue be discussed? Because ever since the indictment by the United States of America, leave alone that the Parliament hasn't even had a discussion, but countries like France, Sri Lanka, Kenya, Bangladesh, Switzerland, Australia have all cancelled deals with Adani.
Yeah, so that's a private deal which has, which has been called into question. The state and the sovereign states out there are free to take a decision on that. Does the Congress party have any material evidence through their international networks to place before either the Indian Parliament or the Supreme Court to actually lead to some kind of a logical conclusion to this discussion which has been going on for the past year and a half at least? My problem is that Rahul Gandhi and the entire Congress party is not walking the talk. If you are quoting the indictment, then you need to quote it in its entirety. Then you need to first sever your ties with the Tamil Nadu-based DMK party. You need to walk out of that alliance first, walk the talk, show by example that till the name is not cleared of either the DMK party there or his party's own leader in Chhattisgarh, Bhupesh Baghel, kick him out of the party. set up an example here that we are not sure. There is an
Okay.
indictment, and they have quoted certain state governments. And based on that, because we are constantly referring to that same documentation, we are hereby walking the talk, and we are severing our ties with the DMK, and we are kicking out Bhupesh Baghel from the party. Then you will establish a case for yourself that what we genuinely believe that it is in the larger
But Rajat,
interest
having a
of the
discussion, is
country
it
that we
dependent
need to
on
hold a
that?
debate.
Having a discussion in Parliament, is it actually dependent on the Congress
It's a
taking
waste
action?
of
Shouldn't that
taxpayers'
unilaterally
money.
be done?
It is a waste of taxpayers' money. Either you establish it through some proofs, either some prima facie evidence or something which can corroborate your accusations, by all means do that. Do
No,
not
the
defend the
accusations
Adani
haven't
group
come.
at all.
No, one
But you
second.
need
The
to come out
accusations
with
haven't
something
come from
instead of
India. The
constantly
accusations have come from a
flashing,
US
these
indictment.
indictments.
And if you talk about
You yourself
wasting
do not
the money
believe
of
in
the
the entirety.
taxpayer, every minute that goes in an adjournment when Parliament is in session costs the taxpayer
Madam,
2.5 lakh rupees,
absolutely.
Rajat.
My point is very simple. On a report whom you do not want to believe on, because you will have to walk the talk on that, you clearly are in a position to either present those facts before the Parliament, which are something distinct or something new, or go to the Supreme Court. These are the
Okay.